the great mountain, the four continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. This deed may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niryatayami. To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha till I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. Every living being, including the jerk at work. How are we doing with, I almost said him. How are we doing with him or her? Lori, would you like to talk about, what was the alternate question I gave you last week?
It was, what have you done for or to your dating person? How it was phrased. My answer was I had withheld either affection or praise or something because I didn't feel that they deserved it.
Okay.
They were a bad person, and it made me feel very bad. And how did it make me feel? It made me feel like I was very petty, and it was so unnecessary to do that.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry that you had to feel petty, but
Yeah.
good that you were aware of it.
I realized it was petty.
Yeah. How about you, Debbie?
I said I've swallowed my pride for unjust criticism several times this week from my annoying person, and it really hurts because I have not yet mastered how to take it personally, how not to take it personally. Working on it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Even if you can take it and take it personally, if you take it, that's awesome. You know, just taking it and then you work on the rough stuff afterwards. You know, go cry in the corner and go sit in your car, and then all the Dharma teachings start to filter through your anger.
See, that's where I feel like, I don't want to cry, and I like try to keep a stiff upper lip and not feel the emotions that I'm trying to suppress, I think.
Well, so, this thing that Master Shantideva that we learned about in courses 10 through 12, your suffering comes from thinking about yourself. But sometimes you don't remember that until you're done crying or screaming or whatever, wallowing in a little self-pity. And then you start to get the message like, last time when this person made me angry, they made me cry, and then I thought about, I'm really just focusing on myself. And then you start to get this Pavlovian response, I'm sick of crying, let me just stop thinking about myself and move on about my day. It's just like learning to ride a bike or learning to swim. After a while you start to get the movement and your heart and mind start to get into that groove of just not thinking about yourself. Because maybe it is personal. Who cares, right? Like, that's not your problem. Anybody else want to talk about how they got off it with their irritant? Yes.
I didn't participate in any group bitch sessions.
Wow. She didn't participate in any group bitch sessions.
Wow. Which is hard because everyone at work, every single person I talk to complains about this person.
Wow, congratulations. Did anyone notice?
I don't think so. No one said anything. They were too busy getting all riled up. And I was just like, huh? And then I just ran away as fast as I could.
Awesome.
It was so hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Right across from me. She's like,
and she's annoying. Yeah, right.
Stuff she says. Stuff.
So what are the tools that you use to not bag on this person. So walking away, obviously, but in your mind, like, why stop? Why not just continue bagging on her?
Well, it doesn't make me feel good.
Okay.
And it doesn't, I know it doesn't help me in any way.
Right.
And I know it doesn't help her in any way.
Right.
And I actually want to like build a better, because I think I started seeing the good things she has to offer. She does.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would always focus on the bad things. So it helped me see the good things she has to offer and try to focus on that more than
Mm-hmm.
the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I just feel this like sense of like relief about it.
Good
Like
for
I don't,
you.
Yeah, like I don't feel like I'm dragging this like weight around.
Yeah, it feels shameful to gossip about someone or to speak negatively about someone. She's a good emptiness lesson, right? If you try to remember, like, someone in this world loves this person, right? And that's how I started with George Bush, right? His mother loves him. And then I was like, well, I don't like her either, so she doesn't count. But you know, you just find little inroads into realizing this situation or the person is empty, that your perception of them is not the right or wrong one. It's just the one that's forced on you by your negative actions. So you cut the negative actions as quickly as you can, and then they start showing up differently. So it took a little effort to think about, you know, the good things in her, but at least they came up for you.
Well, the other thing is, like a few weeks ago, somebody told me that she complained about me to someone.
Oh, what a great reaction. She said, oh, she complained about me, and I realized instantly that's my fault.
And so I was like, I have to.
That's awesome. Wow.
It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah, that's going to be the tonight's class. These are the three themes of tonight's class: karma, emptiness, it's hard. So get used to it, right? Did you want to talk about your irritant?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I failed in some aspects, but the irritant that I picked was my boss, and we really he does really well with like I noticed because I used to just be like he's Israeli, and so everything is like aggressive, like yelling at everyone.
Oh wait, hold on. So I just want to stop you because that's one of the emptiness lessons is we think person belongs to this group, therefore, self-existently, they're aggressive, they're loud.
Yeah.
I have the same thing. They're whatever, you fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So one good step is to stop that thinking right there
No, I
and
realize
know
that.
that like a whole category of people.
It's not, yeah, of course. Yeah, I realize that. And but he raises his voice a lot, and so sometimes I get irritated by that, and I don't necessarily say anything, but my reactions to it, you know, he can tell that I get a little bit frustrated or irritated, and so I've been working on that, and I just, you know, try to, and he's been working on it too, because he knows that he does raise his voice, and so if he does start to yell, he like calms down, and I admire that, and I chose to like take that and just be like, he's really trying to work on it, so I should try to work on my reaction as well. But I also had some other people in the office that I did not find that way.
Oh. It's okay to focus on one and so you can expand it to 2 and 3 and good for you. Because, you know, you actually have a little toolbox, right? You have the Dharma, you have class every week, you have your Sangha. He doesn't have anything except the habit of screaming at people. So for him to work on it, it's really difficult because what's his motivation for doing so? And what's his support for doing so? And the people he surrounds himself with probably also scream and yell. So you being patient and loving and understanding is helping him as well. You're like, yeah. Sure. Okay, so there's something I don't think I went over last week was when we were talking about generosity, and did I tell you about the different ways of being generous? Is there anyone in this room but me? You missed last class, that's okay.
With the Dharma materialization.
Yeah, so did I mention it or no? Or do you just know it from your, okay. So I just want to tell you, because there's one that's super important. Well, they're all important, but there's one that really applies to this class. So different ways of being generous. You can give material things, right? Hi, welcome. You can give love. You can give the Dharma, which is super important because That's that whole biblical adage of rather than giving a man a fish, if you teach him how to fish, then he'll be straight for the rest of his life, right? So if you give someone the Dharma, you are giving them really eternal life. The other thing that you can give, which is super important, is protection from fear, right? That's something that plagues all of us. That's kind of one of the things that motivates us to do the negative things we do is we're afraid of getting hurt, afraid of hurting others, afraid of losing our job. But when you think about giving protection from fear, really think about the fact that you're giving protection from fear of you, right? You're people's worst enemy because they don't know what to expect from you. You have a temper. You're inconsistent. Sometimes you're unloving. They are too, but this is on you because you have the tools now. You have the Dharma now. So when you're thinking about being generous, really try to start with offering people some love, some consistency, some patience, and that's a huge gift. You're protecting them from bad old you. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, so I think I said last week about Lojong, or maybe week 1, that it started the whole Buddhist movement in Tibet, right? Are you guys awake tonight? We're going to do some jumping jacks? When I say right, you say right. Or wrong, but say something. Okay.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
No. What does that mean? Started the whole Buddhist movement?
Yeah, so, there was a time when Buddhism didn't exist in Tibet. Can you believe that?
Didn't bring that to Tibet.
Well, we talked about Alicia, right? How he did his boat ride to Sumatra, and then they convinced him to walk through the mountains to Tibet, and he cleaned up the really corrupt, nasty Dharma and gave a lot of teachings. But even before that, Lojong actually was started by the Kadampas. You guys remember me talking about the Kadampas? So they were the ones who were giving teachings to lay people. They wrote 200,000 different books, or what we call books. You weren't here, so.
I wasn't here.
But so I'm giving you some. I did talk about it the first week. So I'm just like going over that again because we're going to talk about this specific Lojong tonight. At the time that these Lojongs were spoken or written, all of the lineages that are close to us were on the same block, basically. They were in the same part of town and they were very close together. Anyone know what those lineages are? So first of all, who are we? Or I should say, who I am. And
Where are these teachings?
yes, right. Okay, so these teachings come from a straight line down through Geshe Michael to, well, I'll say to me, right? But there are some other schools, right? There's Kagyu, there's Nyingma. So these were all, I'm missing one. I'm missing, who am I missing? Sakya? Yeah, okay. So these were all in the same block together. It's very similar to, have any of you heard of Unity Church or Science of Mind or Christian Science? Everyone's heard of Christian Science. They're the ones that don't go to the doctor. Okay, so those are all part of this movement called New Thought Movement that started around the 1920s here in the United States. And they all are similar, but just different enough, like Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian. It's similar in this way with these different schools, right? If you pick one up, if you start with Sakya, for example, you can take it all the way to enlightenment, just like you can take the Gelugpa teachings all the way to enlightenment. What's offered is, with us, with me, is a consistent teaching from the Buddha on down. That's what I'm offering you. I would take it if I were you. But anyway, these lineages were all together, and people studied together. And Geshe Michael talks a lot about how he taught some Kagyu students for five years, And it's really nice when people can come together and talk about their differences, their similarities, their shared holidays. It's very sweet. Okay. So, this Lojong that we're going to go over tonight is called the Damnak. And it's written by Kyawa Yanggupa, which you need for your homework. So what do you think is the next thing I'm going to tell you? So this is the Lojong, Damnak, Kyawa Yanggupa. What's usually the next thing I give you? The dates. The dates. Okay. 1213 to 1258. Not a very long life, unfortunately, but long enough for us to get this teaching. This teaching is like the dessert on top of dinner. So we talked a little bit about how Lojong is something that's sort of given in an intimate setting from teacher to student, right? So this is after your Lama has given a weekend retreat and you've stacked the last chairs and now it's time to go out to dinner and you get your Lama for 2 hours and they tell you stories and give you little tidbits. That's what this Lojong is like. You know, it's not taught in like a big, huge setting. It's really given in an intimate setting from teacher to student. It's very sweet. And for a long time, it was kept secret. For 1,000 years, right, it was kept secret. Because, does anyone remember why? Right. Because the thinking was that people wouldn't be able to handle it. They'd be dismissive of it. And then they start to accumulate the negative karma that you get from just throwing something that's so precious away. And then someone was brave enough and said, hey, who am I to say that these students aren't wise enough or strong enough to handle it? Let's try. I think they might be. And then that's what we're doing with you. So, are you strong? Can you handle the truth? Okay.
Does Damnak have a translation?
Oh, yeah, sorry. It means personal advices. Thank you. Personal advices. Personal instructions passed on from teacher to student in an intimate setting. Okay, so last week I gave you 2 bits of personal advice on, you know, getting through the practice. Does anyone remember what they are? One was learn from other people's mistakes, right? Because you don't have enough time to make every mistake that, you know, that you need to experience. What was the other one? Everyone's kind of so glum tonight. What's the matter? Oh, because it's Monday? Oh, that's okay. But you're not alone, clearly.
There's this trick when you're a student and the teacher asks you a question and you should know it, but you don't.
All right, so Lori's going to give us the answer in a second, but I'm going to give you another, which is get out of your comfort zone, okay? Not all the time. You definitely want to have a nice cush comfort zone to run to, but be active about stepping out of your comfort zone because that's where you're going to get the practice that you need. You're not going to be able to practice Lojong when you're around like your best friend and your puppy and Netflix, right? You have to be with the irritant. You have to be with the annoying mother or father or cousin or neighbor, right? So actively, if you're active about seeking out this opportunity, it tends to go better than when it just catches you by surprise, right? So, you know, figure out what you think you can handle and stretch yourself and go for it. There's a guy at work who's a total bro, you know, he thinks he knows everything and he's really full of himself and he got into real bad trouble last week. Now my normal reaction would be, oh, well that'll take him down a peg to where he should be. But because I'm teaching this class, I said, oh, what's a little stretch that I can do here? First of all, why does he deserve to suffer any more than I deserve to suffer, right? And he was in fear of losing his job. So I actually stuck my neck out and went and talked to a manager about some advice that, you know, I could give him. And he was so grateful. And I was happy that I had him as an opportunity to stretch myself and to exercise some compassion. It's easy to be compassionate to the guy in the corner asking for $1, or, you know, to someone that I think is deserving of my time and my energy. But how about the person I don't think is deserving? They don't want to suffer any more than I do. They're no different from me. And they're no different from you. So try to see your irritant that way. Okay, so Gyawa is an honorific. Does anyone know what an honorific is? Like Lama, Geshe, His Holiness, hint, hint. What are those things? They're honorifics. When you give someone a title, instead of just saying Lauren, for example, you know, I say Lama Lauren, and Gyawa is the same thing. It actually means victorious one. What's a victorious one?
Aria?
Yeah, but I mean, when we say the victorious ones, the conquerors, Buddha, right? The Buddhas. So if I say the victorious one, what is this person victorious over? What do you think?
Their mental afflictions.
Sure, for sure, right? They've gotten rid of their mental afflictions and their ignorance, right? So that's what we're trying to be victorious over. It makes sense to try to keep your eye on the prize, right? Like, this idea of Buddhahood seems so far away until you start to drag it closer to you, right? By thinking about what might it mean to be a Buddha, right? They've conquered mental afflictions, probably by staring them down for hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. You have this lifetime. So, where did Gyawa Yangpa get these teachings from? There's a lot about this long lineage from which we get these teachings that I'm not going to go over. The first is the Sakya Pandita, whom some of you have probably heard of, maybe not. Around 1200 he lived. Great Lama, great Tibetan Lama. Memorized 1,000 pages of Dharma, which is about 8,000 verses. Just walked around memorizing stuff. It's a really great practice. If you don't have anything else to do at lunchtime, then memorize some Dharma. Seriously. And then another, so Sakya Pandita, aside from doing all those wonderful things of memorizing Dharma and starting monasteries and teaching Lojong, he had a nephew named Pakpa, which you don't need to write that down, just interesting, who took Buddhism to Mongolia. And I have a lot of Mongolian friends, and it's so awesome because I open my Dharma notebook, and they can read it all, and they've studied it all, and it's pretty funny. They talk about Jetsun Kappa like he's their friend. And, he taught Marco Polo. You guys know who Marco Polo is? Hello? Yes? Okay. Yes. It's not just a game in the pool. So this is a Kagyu-Sakya pairing, right? Obviously, he's Sakya because his name is Sakya. So this is an example of two lineages coming together and hanging out. Another person who was instrumental in us getting this teaching is Gu Sangpa. Don't have years. Their specific little sub-lineage is Drukpa Kagyu. You need that for the homework. Drukpa Kagyu. Druk means area. It's an area in Tibet where there's a famous monastery. So they just took the name of the monastery and turned it into the name of their lineage. So I'm going to give you the Lojong, and you are going to get your mind blown. You ready? Nothing that starts remains unchanged. Have no attachment, cut the ties. There's no happiness in this vicious circle. Get tired of it. Find renunciation. The world is hollow and meaningless. Do not trust the lie. Your own mind is the Buddha. Go and meet your friend. It's kind of like a riddle, right? Like, what does that all mean? Okay, I'm about to tell you. So let's take this tough stuff first. What does your own mind is the Buddha mean? Does that mean, let's just talk about what it doesn't mean. Does that mean that there is a little Buddha inside you and all you have to do is strip off the dreck and he, she will come flowering out? No. That would be nice if we could just do some aerobic activity and release our inner Buddha. No. So it refers to, I've told you that this class tonight was about karma and emptiness, right? It refers to the emptiness of your mind, right? The emptiness of your mind is exactly the same as the emptiness of a Buddha's mind, which is exactly the same as the emptiness of a dog's mind, okay? So it's this infinite potential to not see things as self-existent. That's what we're going for, all right? So when in the line, your own mind is the Buddha, go and meet your friend, that's talking about set aside the things that are preventing you from understanding emptiness. Set aside this notion that the world is going to work out. If I just get that guy, if I just get that car, if I just get the house in the country, then things will be perfect. I think we established week 1 that in 60 years, everything but Sarah's kids is going to be dust. Right? We established that, right? Okay. So it sounds depressing to say this world's not going to work out until you think about it, and it's just true. Right? Either you're going to die, your loved one's going to die, it's going to be taken away from you, it's going to break, blah, 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 right? So the best thing that you can do is take the opportunity that you have in this life, right? You have just enough leisure to come to class, you've got someone to watch your kids, and you got off work in time, and you've got enough gas in your car. You have just enough to get here, and you have just enough stress to motivate you to do so, right? Because there are plenty of people who are by the pool at the Mondrian right now who see no reason to be anywhere else. I would be one of them if I didn't know better, right? It's very easy to slip into. Okay, so that's that line. Okay, so let's talk about the karma part of it. If you had collected the necessary karma, you would be a Buddha by now. Not to put you down, but I just want you to, because we get into this thing of, oh, I can't help it. It's not my fault. I was just born. Well, no, I mean, there's something that hasn't yet gone right enough for you to reach Buddhahood. And the hope is that you will find whatever that thing is. This is just a theory that I have. In past lifetimes, we have successfully gotten over the gigantic boulders, right? And now we're working on the little stuff in the corner that we've successfully avoided lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So whether that's patience, compassion, whatever it is, that you know what it is, first of all. If you don't know, please come see me at the break and I'll be able to tell you right away. But this thing that you've been avoiding lifetime after lifetime, so you have this habit of not even looking at it, and it's time for you to look at it, face it head on, and conquer it. Okay? I know, I told you it was karma, emptiness, and difficult. Who here has vows of any kind? Okay, so for those of you who don't have vows, let's listen to someone who does have vows about what it's done for them.
So in the beginning, which was 8 years ago, my vows were about kind of helping me walk a better line in life, helping me see and revealing kind of all the yuck that I did every day. And now my vows are more about adding the nutrients of life, right?
Nice.
So they're more about what can I add that's meaningful and that will bring value
Mm-hmm.
to my life, rather than
That is lovely. Thank you. So when I first started hearing about vows, similar to my reaction to a lot of new things that I encountered when I started studying Buddhism, I said, oh, that's weird. That's weird, that's weird, that's weird. I don't want anything to do with it. Vows, oh, that sounds so like non-monk. I don't like those people. I don't want to be like that. So I had a lot of obstacles, just, real life mental obstacles to get over to even think about the benefit of vows. So I invite you, if you don't have vows, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, to let me just plant this seed that it does not take something away from your life. If anything, it enriches your life and gives your life purpose. I actually don't know how I got as far in life as I did without vows. And like Tiffany in the beginning, I thought, oh, it's kind of a rigid, oh, I can't do what I want to do. And then as I started to sort of let the vows into my life and flower up my life, it made everything better. It's like an anchor where you're not alone in this world when you have vows. You share vows with thousands of other people on the planet who are going for the same thing. And there are a few sets of vows, so if you'd like to talk to me about it at the break, that'd be great. But basically, the reason I'm talking about vows is because if you keep your vows, you're guaranteed to reach enlightenment because you're not hurting others, you're practicing wisdom. That's what the vows are about. So I think it's a nice ticket to have in your pocket. And so does the person who wrote this Lojong. Also, we have something called 6 times a day practice. Dimitri, you want to talk about that a little bit? Yeah, perfect. It sounds, again, super rigid, like, wow, I'm so broken that I have to check in every couple of hours. Until you don't, right? And it's funny, there are times in my life when I thought, oh, I don't need to do this anymore. Of course I do. The moment that I don't have to do it anymore is when I'm an enlightened being and the book is in my heart, right? The vows are written on my heart. So even if you don't have vows, you can do the book practice. I did for a year before I took vows, and it was great. I actually stuck with one vow, checked in with this one vow every 15 minutes for a year, which was not expressing anger, because that was my big downfall. And I really thought if I could just focus on not doing that to others, that would be helpful. And I found after 6 months that it wasn't helping me. Like, I was still forgetting, and I would still blow up at people or honk at someone on the 405. And so I stopped focusing on it. I focused on something else for another 6 months. And then at the end of that year, I realized that my anger had gone way, way down. And so sometimes looking at something head on and being so pressurized about it isn't the way to go. You got to relax a little bit, not be so tight with it. Think about something else. And you start to develop the merit to get rid of that annoyance, even if you're not working on it head on. So if you've got something that you've been working on for a while and you don't feel like you're making any movement, then feel free to get up off of it a little bit, work on something else, and see how it is in the periphery. Yeah? Camera?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
That totally works, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Because I came to class, I don't know, a few months ago, that you were teaching. I was talking to my kids and how they make me crazy. And I said, how do I stop being angry at them about whatever they're doing? And you said to stop being angry at yourself for being angry. So just
That's good advice.
and it, I don't know, it just works somehow.
Yeah.
I was angry. So,
She's got good advice.
awesome.
Okay, so here's another line from the same Lojong. Nothing but the Dharma means anything at all. Throw the rest out like trash. It all boils down to dying. Pack light and take off now. That's pretty deep. It all boils down to dying means whatever activities you're involved in, let them be the activities you would be doing if you had 1 hour to live. Or if that's too tough to think about, 1 day to live. It is seriously how I live my life. If someone said, Alicia, you have an hour to live, I would quickly make sure that we at least get through this class. So that's how you want it to be. It's like, don't be messing around. Don't be wasting your time. You don't have enough to waste. And if that feels restrictive, just try it. It's not. It really is not. Living your life to serve others and be of help to others is not a waste, and it doesn't feel restrictive. The only reason people think it is because the rest of the world doesn't do it, right? So it seems like you're the crazy one. What I have to say to that is you have tried the other way, right? You have tried drinking, spending, sexing, screaming. You've tried it all, and it has not made you happy. And it has not made others happy. So if you think that this isn't the way, then just look back to the other way and see, you know, how happy that made you. That's my advice. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you something called 6 keys, which is a fancy way of giving you another list. The Gelukpa tradition is to give many, many lists, and I intend to hold that up. 6 keys. Who's our author? I just gave it to you guys like half an hour ago. What's Gyawa mean? Phew. Okay, you are. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. So these are keys that you put in the car of your life to turn on the ignition. Okay. Put your death in your heart. This is the key for checking whether your practice is tuned too tight or too loose. So this means what I just told you. If you're involved in activity that you would not be doing if you had an hour to live, let it go. It's not worth it. Practice tuned too tight means that you're about to burn out and fail. So if you are feeling resentful about your practice or about your Dharma activities or about your service, chill out, take a vacation. You know, you don't want to start to regret your practice. Too loose, I think we can all relate to the practice being too loose. Not keeping our vows, not doing our 6 times a day book. I'm guilty of it too. You know, letting things slide a little bit, not meditating, or meditating every once in a while. You know, tighten it up. Okay? So that's what that first key is. 2, think of the viper's nest of the problems of this life. This is the key for stopping attachment at the bottom of your heart. This means everything that you're working for will be stripped of you. Your body. Forget it. I've already consulted someone about Botox right here, okay? Your body is going to sag and fade and whatever. You're going to get sick. Your job is going to be taken from you. Name something that you're not going to lose. I'll wait. Right. Okay. So, don't work on that attachment. It's nice to have nice things. And it's nice to know that they're going to come and they're going to come and they're going to go. And then you don't fall apart when they go. I know this is hard to hear because we think that this one thing, I'm going to keep it forever. You're not. Just sorry. Is everyone clear on that? I just don't want someone to leave thinking that this one thing that you've got hiding in your trunk is the thing that's going to stay with you forever. Okay. But so does that mean don't enjoy the things that you have now? Enjoy the heck out of them, right? But enjoy them like the way that I enjoy the roller coaster. You get on the roller coaster, you whoop it up, the roller coaster ends, you get off, you go do something else. All the time keeping your mind on the fact that this world's not going to work out, but you're not made for this world anyway, right? This isn't the realm that you're trying to be a part of. Okay, 3. Let every thought be of what other people need. This is the key for making everything you do the Dharma. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can be a mom. You can have a job. You can, what other options are there besides being a mom and having a job? You can be a Dharma teacher, right? Just make sure that what you're doing is for the benefit of others. It's not like everyone has to be the Dalai Lama and go around the world giving teachings. You give teachings by being you, right? By smiling at someone who's having a rough day. That's giving Dharma. That's hard sometimes. It's hard to get out of our own head and think about others. Okay, 4. Don't think of anything but your Lama. This is the key for turning your mind and theirs into one. This is true. This is super hard, though. So for those of you who don't have a Lama, what was my advice to you in class 1? That actually was not my advice, but that's good advice. Anyone remember what my advice was? Wow, am I that boring? No, it was definitely not that. She said, take your time to pick one. No one remembers. So be with people that you want to be like. If you're not ready to take a Lama, that's okay. You don't want to just hurriedly grab one and then regret it. At least be around people you'd like to emulate and learn from them. If you don't have anyone in your life like that, then re-examine your life and find someone, you know? Like my brother is super awesome. Some of you know him. He's super funny and super generous and smart and humble. And just spending time with him, some of that, I hope, rubs off on me. So if you don't have a Lama yet, then get someone that you would like to, you know, emulate and spend a lot of time with them, as much time as they'll let you, right? Because they probably have a lot of people that want to spend time with them. Now, better than that, of course, is, yes, find a Lama. How do you do that? How do you find a Lama? Do you just sit back and wait for them to knock at your door? Craigslist. You never know. You never know. The Lama section. So, what do you think?
You observe. You find teachings by
Yeah.
in your class.
That's right.
Observing you.
That's right, Debbie.
And what you're giving.
That's right. You go to teachings, right? You watch them, you ask yourself, is this someone that I want to be like? Do they have what I'm missing, right? It's not rocket science. You'll find them. If you're coming to classes here, you are close, right? It's not an accident. It's not that far from you. So I think we also talked about the purpose of a Lama, right? And the benefits of a Lama. Everything, right? They give you the world. You have crawled through lifetimes. You've made it as far as you can make it on your own. You cannot teach yourself the rest. You need a teacher who will guide you, who will, who's seen Rocky? Oh, good. You haven't seen Rocky? Child, are you American? Homework, see Rocky. So, your Lama is Mickey in the corner, right? When you're exhausted and you're frustrated and you can't do it, your Lama is holding you up. And when you're arrogant and you think you know it all, your Lama is I'm laughing because my Lama and I went on this trip several years ago, and another student and I stayed up all night talking about emptiness. And we figured it out. How's that for arrogance? We figured it out. So Lama comes in to get some tea, and we explain, emptiness to her, and she says no, and turns and walks out. That's it. That's all she said. No. And we were crushed. But, you know, that's what your Lama will do for you. Okay, so
Oh, you don't remember this, do you? I remember the,
it was Darren.
oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but, and I remember just sitting up till, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but I don't remember just saying no.
You don't remember us explaining emptiness to you? Teaching you emptiness? Yes. So that's one of the many benefits of a Lama, is that they will drag you and carry you all the way to enlightenment. Okay, 5. See the world and the people in it as angels. This is the key for stopping the idea that life is an ordinary thing. So last week, I suggested that you see the people around you as Buddhas. Why? Right, like if you think, oh, these people around me are schmucks, are you going to bother to learn from them and observe them and care about them? No. But if you think, oh, I'm the last one, they're all Buddhists and they're all here helping me, you will be eagle-eyed, right? You'll be like, what is the sign? What are they teaching me? You know? So same thing with seeing people as angels. This is not an ordinary life. You're this close to getting enlightened. How could this life be ordinary? Every moment has to be one that's pushing you closer to enlightenment. So there's no such thing as ordinary. There's no such thing as coincidence. Okay? It can be very scary. Seriously. You like, this happens to me all the time. Someone says some $5 word, and like loquacious, for example. And 5 minutes later, I'm reading a magazine and there's the word loquacious. And the temptation is to go, oh, wow, what a coincidence. But what I do now is say, oh, that's right, I'm on the right path. This is just like a little woo-woo, hello, right? So this life's not ordinary. Look for signs of that. They're all around you. And one is if you allow your mind to see the people in this world, in your world, as angels who have come to help you. Okay. 6, whatever comes, make it crystal. Whatever comes, make it crystal. This is the key for making this life turn to freedom all by itself. What might crystal be referring to? Very good. Right, yeah, I mean, just, I guess you can only say diamond so many times before people stop listening. But crystal also has another meaning, right? Like crystal clear. So it's a little play on words. It's, first of all, it's misleading. This line that says, it'll make your life turn to freedom all by itself. No. It's not true that you don't have to do anything but sit there, right? You have to do a lot of work. You have to work on all of your mental afflictions. You have to work on all of your ignorance. But if you do, then you'll definitely get to nirvana. So what he's saying here is, first of all, what's nirvana? Yes, beautiful. Okay, so that sounds like a nice place to be. No mental afflictions.
Actually, I don't know what you said.
The permanent cessation of mental afflictions. So you know what a mental affliction is?
Do I ever?
Right. It's anything that disturbs your peace of mind. So it's hard to imagine even a second without a mental affliction. Because my back hurts, the fan is too high, oh, there's traffic from the 405, just, right? Multiple times per second, there's just something that's a little irritating. Just not quite right. Right? So imagine 5 minutes without that. Totally awesome, right? And then you stretch that to a day and a year and a lifetime, okay? That's why, like, when someone says nirvana, I just start shaking because it's just, like, hard for me to imagine. Okay, so, yeah.
So mental afflictions can be feeling uncomfortable also, not just being annoyed at something else.
You are annoyed if you're uncomfortable.
I'm always fidgeting.
That's right.
Can't ever get comfortable.
That's right.
Is that bad?
That's samsara. Anyone know what samsara is? Yeah, It's the cycle of suffering, right? So it's not possible, Sarah, for you to get comfortable because you're suffering. So the way that you get comfortable is by making somebody else comfortable, right? That's where the karma part of it. So as you stop thinking about yourself and start helping others, the little annoyances fall away. And then you get enough accumulation of that to get some wisdom, to get on the cushion, and then you start to get realizations, right? So that's the only reason I meditate. If I could get out of meditating, I would, but that's where the realizations come. So all of a sudden you get this bell that goes off and you get one little glimpse of, oh, I'm gonna serve my mother today, right? You don't even know why. You just get this idea to serve your mother. And the whole day you're serving your mother and you don't realize that your back hurts because you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your mom and helping her. So that then turns into another realization of how you can help someone else. Your kids, for example, who are constantly screaming and yelling. You take them to the park, you whoop it up, and then they come home exhausted, they're not screaming and yelling. So, you start to develop little habits that take you away from thinking about yourself. But samsara is the umbrella word for when I was talking about this life's not going to work out because it's a suffering realm. Okay. Now, crystal. So after you've done the work of eons and eons and eons, and you recognize that nothing exists from its own side, and you develop lots and lots of merit by helping others, then you can get to nirvana. But the main point of that line about crystal, whatever comes make it crystal, is your job is to practice seeing things as empty. And we're going to talk tonight about even the most impossible thing, your mind, it's empty too. So let's think about something that's really hard to imagine as empty. Your kids, my mom, right? I think I told you the story last week about someone calling my dad an asshole. And I was like, oh, that's an emptiness teaching right there. So try to practice that this coming week. The thing that you're sure is self-existent, your husband, whatever it is, and try to see it as empty, meaning that you have done something in the past that makes the thing show up the way that it does in your life, good or bad. Got it? Angela, no. She's like, no, I don't like this idea. My Israeli boss can't be coming from me. Any questions? I know it's a lot because, it's not just memorizing a list. It'd be easy if it was just a list, right? Like you go home and memorize it, and that's nice. This is stripping your heart and mind of everything that you know to be true. Sorry. You signed up for this. Okay. Let's move on to the 5 mental poisons. That sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? What's poison? Wow, I feel like I'm giving you guys calculus tonight.
Stuff that causes you harm.
Yeah, right? Stuff that causes you harm. 5 mental poisons. These things ruin your health. Plain and simple. They're activities that you engage in that ruin your peace of mind and your physical health. So, for example, that's right. Wow, okay, hold on. Let's start with number 1. Liking things ignorantly. Okay? That is a poison. That is a mental poison. Liking things ignorantly. If I say, I don't like your suffering, is that ignorant? If I say, I like my Lexus, is that ignorant? So here's a rule of thumb for how you know you've dipped over into the ignorant side. You would hurt somebody to keep this thing. Okay? So I do like my Lexus ignorantly Because if I saw someone breaking into it, I would want to do them harm before catching myself, of course. My not liking your suffering, that's not ignorant, right? Buddhas like things, right? They like to go swimming. They like to see us reach enlightenment. They're not harming anybody with that with that desire, okay? So that's the difference between ignorantly liking something and just liking something with wisdom. Would you hurt somebody to get it or to keep it? And I would posit that just about every possession that you have and just about every relationship you have, you would hurt somebody to keep it. And that's the quickest way to lose it. That's why we lose it. That's why we get sick and die. We hold tight to this body without thinking at all about how we got here in the first place, which is helping and protecting others. Kim, do you have a burning question?
I'm just trying to figure out why he lets me walk off with my cats or children.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny. When I first started studying this, people immediately go to the Holocaust and slavery, right? Immediately, right? Just start with your own life. There's no need to even go back beyond a couple of days, right? Something has happened. For instance, I ran a yellow light. I'm always telling people not to run red lights. It is a great example of how you are willing to hurt someone to get what you want. I hate to be late. Is my desire to be on time more important than a pedestrian's life? No, but obviously I'm ignorant enough to think so because I ran the yellow light. I was willing to do that rather than hit the brakes and wait 25 seconds. So if you think that you're not in that position of liking things ignorantly, then please think again. Think about everything in your life that you like. Okay, that's the first poison. The second poison is disliking things ignorantly. Buddhists dislike things. What might Buddhists dislike?
Anger.
Yes, right? Ignorant anger. They don't like your suffering. They like right now I have hummus on my finger. Some Buddha is feeling bad for me. No, but I mean like we're not saying suppress these emotions. It's not possible. That's why we have them actually. They are very powerful and very helpful. If you desire enlightenment for others, wow, that can really open up all kinds of creative muscle and all kinds of innovations and power that you wouldn't have otherwise. Same thing with disliking things. If you cannot stand to see someone suffer, and you know, like Kim, you were just talking about children and cats, and you know, we don't like to see animals and children suffer, and most of us would be very selfless to protect someone or something weaker than us, right? That's innate, hopefully. So where it gets ignorant is, again, where you'd be willing to hurt someone to keep this thing away. Anyone have an example of ignorant disliking? I think that this class is about the irritant, right? If you have an irritant, that's ignorant disliking. Where's the irritant coming from, y'all? It's coming from my past actions, right? From I've done something similar to irritate someone, and now it's showing up like this. I never cleaned it up. It's showing up like this every day, every day, every day. And I don't like it. I'm going to tell it to F off. I'm going to, run away from it. I'm going to do all kinds of more ignorant things. Some of you can't even look me in the eye right now because you're thinking about the ignorant disliking that goes on in your life. So look it in the eye, acknowledge that there are things that you don't like. You cannot imagine that it has anything to do with your past actions because you would never act that way. And then recognize that you're wrong. You're just wrong. Of course you've acted that way. You've acted that way today. Okay? All right. So, poison number 3, plain old ignorance. This is not understanding how your world really works. Who can tell me how the world really works? Heather. How do we think the world works?
How we think it works?
Yeah. Yeah, like, so if somebody shows up in your office, you're a physical therapist, someone shows up and says, I didn't really like the workup that you did on me, and I'm never coming back here. So we think that that's random, that that person is off their rocker, and I don't like them. That's natural response, right? Is any part of that, is any part of that correct? That it's random, that it has nothing to do with me, and that there's any sense in me not liking this person? No, right? The way the world really works is, I did something in the past that ticked somebody off and maybe hurt somebody's feelings. I never cleaned it up. Here comes this person to put it in my face so that I will not do it in the future. Hopefully, I'm learning the lesson. My not liking them is really me not liking my own action, right? And my deciding that it's random is me avoiding the whole rule about consequences, right? I have put a cause into play in the past, and here's the consequence. That's how we go through life every single minute, that we think things are random, that we think that there's someone else to blame. There's absolutely no one else to blame for the things in your life except you. And there's also no one else to praise, right? Things aren't randomly, nicely given to you. We had, check this out, you're not going to believe this. We had an email today from the CEO of the company where I work, who said, you know, we've been losing really good employees to competitors, so we're going to give everyone a gigantic raise at the end of the year, and we just wanted to let you guys know now. And we were all like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how does this happen, right? And there was a part of me that did not want to acknowledge that it had anything to do with my past actions, because I don't feel that I'm that generous. Like, I'm okay, but I don't feel like I'm like that. And there's a danger in that, right? There's a danger in thinking that things are coming at me like this, coming at you like this, in that you're not going to keep up the good work because you think it's random. You think it has to do with something else. So pay attention, not just to the bad, annoying stuff, but pay attention to the good stuff too. When you come home and your kids run and hug you and love you, that's a karmic flowering of love that you've given in the past. Don't ignore it. Okay, so that's what ignorance is not seeing how the world really works. Okay, I forgot to tell you something. The opposite of liking things ignorantly, you need this for your homework. What the opposite will give you when you like things wisely is every happiness. So that means that right now, the way you can practice this is when the annoying jerk is in your face, be happy that you have the opportunity to work on it, to work on your patience. When your kid runs and loves you and gives you a hug, be happy that you're getting this flowering and it's showing you how far you've come in being loving. So everything that happens is actually an opportunity for you to be happy. It's difficult because we're taught that happiness should be based on circumstances. Oh, I should be happy because I get a day off, I got a raise, blah, blah, blah. Why? Why would I cut in half my opportunities to be happy? Doesn't make any sense. Person at work just told me off. Oh, awesome, I just stood there and took it. And I even felt some sympathy for them, some empathy for them. Oh, great, I'm happy. There's no reason for you to be unhappy. Or I don't know, do you have a reason to be unhappy? You should ask yourself, when you get up in the morning, do I have a reason to be unhappy? And deal with it. Because I would suggest you don't. Even if you have a nasty illness facing you, bankruptcy, foreclosure, lost job, whatever, how is that not an opportunity to practice happiness? I mean, I say it like I'm scolding you because, of course, I get up every day. And yeah, no, it's obviously something that we all have to work on, right? Otherwise, I'd be a Buddha. Okay, so that's the opposite that's the result of liking things wisely, is every happiness comes your way. The result of disliking things with wisdom is freedom from all pain. Because that's what you're running away from. When you dislike something and you're willing to hurt someone to get away from it, you're running away from pain, right? The little lies that you tell, like, Maybe you don't tell your husband how much you spent on the credit card or whatever, right? You just don't want to get yelled at. So you make up a lie. And then you see yourself as a liar. And then your husband finds out and he sees you as a liar. And it just turns into this mess. So when you stop doing that, you get freedom from pain. Okay. Ignorance. When you've eliminated ignorance, you have achieved enlightenment, right? I've said it 50 different ways tonight. You have to practice seeing the world as not coming from anything but you. You and your actions, your thoughts. Okay. 4, pride. Tiffany came up with that right away. Right away. So why is pride a mental poison, do you think?
Whatever you're happy about, you lose.
Good. Very good. You're getting it.
I'm afraid of it.
So pride is when you see others as lower than you. We've talked about how that's a mistake, how that's just cutting off wonderful opportunities, right? Is there such a thing as good pride?
Yes.
Great. Oh, I'm getting some responses. Lori, what's good pride? Sure. Yeah, so we already talked about the barometer for ignorance, right? Will you hurt somebody? Saying, hey, I'm so proud of myself for finishing my homework. That doesn't hurt anybody, right? Unless it stops you from doing your homework next week. Okay. The result of eliminating pride, this is an interesting one, is total independence, right? You do not have to depend on anyone or anything to be happy, to get what you need. All your needs are taken care of, right? That's what it means when you have eliminated pride. It sounds strange. But being self-sufficient, pride, ignorant pride comes from feeling like you're insufficient, right? So you start to act arrogant to cover up the fact that you're lacking in something. Because people who truly have it going on, they don't have to wave a flag. I'm so awesome. I'm so rich. I'm so smart, right? They don't have to. So that's what it means. When you've eliminated that kind of arrogant pride, you are totally independent. You have everything that you need. Dharma, everything. Nice. Something to strive for, right? Okay. Last one.
Jealous.
What is jealousy? It's a state of mind that cannot stand for others to get what they want. You just cannot stand to see others get what they want. It's so petty and small and pitiful. Because we've already talked about the fact that people are going to lose every single thing in the next 60 years. So who cares? Great, they got the job. They got their name in lights. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're still going to need Botox right here in 2 years, right? So being jealous, I mean, it's weird. It just creates more and more obstacles for you.
And we already said we want everyone to be happy.
We want everyone to be happy. It's totally antithetical. Like, oh, I want everyone, but this one person who bugs me. Everyone else can be happy. You, I don't like. That's what we do. I mean, secretly, deep down, we're oh, my heart is so open to these total strangers, but this one person does not deserve it. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to make it unless that other person makes it too. Okay. The result of eliminating jealousy is the removal of all obstacles, right? If you help others get what they want, you get what you want too. Now, Geshe Michael is very fond of saying things like, oh, if you want a boyfriend, then help somebody else get a boyfriend, or go to an old folks home and keep people company who are lonely. If you want your apartment to be free from bugs, then help somebody find a place to live. He talks about all these karmic correlations. I'm going to tell you a secret. Do not tell Geshe Michael I told you this. That's not really what happens. What happens is you start to get what you want and need. And it's not necessarily what you think going in. Okay? You might say, oh, I want a husband. And then you start volunteering and taking care of other people, and all of a sudden you already have companions, right? So that hollow feeling and that loneliness is taken away because you're helping others. And then you get the karma to not feel lonely. So maybe you get a partner, maybe you don't. But it's a little on the nose to say, oh yes, go help others, and then you'll be helped. So the way that I'm not an expert on karma, but the way that I've seen it work in my life is I don't necessarily just ask for this specific thing. You know, I want to be happy. I want to be free from suffering. I would like the skills to help others be happy. And then let's see how that shows up. But it's, you know, I think the reason that a lot of books on karma talk about these correlations is because it's not an easy sell to say to someone, oh no, I'm not going to guarantee you a boyfriend or millions of dollars, but you'll be happy, just trust me. No. People are pretty sure that they want $1 million. Okay, any questions? No, okay. Oh, it's almost time for a break. Wow. Dimitri, what's ultimate reality? Well, what's your intellectual understanding of it? Great, okay. So here's the end of the Lojong. The reality of things is beyond the mind. So reside in a state where you hold to nothing. This means that until the day that you see emptiness directly, you're going to see things wrongly. You will not see them correctly because you don't yet have this idea of emptiness. You just maybe have an inkling, you have an intellectual understanding, maybe it comes and it goes. So just acknowledge that you're not seeing things correctly. And we did this exercise before where I had everybody write down what the color of the baseboard is, and we got 15 different colors. Nobody's wrong, nobody's right, but it just shows you that what you think is right is open to interpretation until you see emptiness. So ultimate reality is the direct perception of emptiness, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And when he says that the reality of things is beyond the mind, so reside in a state where you hold to nothing, again, that means keep reminding yourself that things are not self-existent. Things do not exist the way that they seem to, right? Which is as one fixed, unchanging thing that has nothing to do with you. That's not possible. Everything that you see is a reflection of some past action. And for me, when I first heard that, I was like, well, I mean, I don't even care about half the things that I see. So how could that be a reflection of my past action? It is. Not caring about it is already kind of a bad karma. Like if you have things that are neutral in your life, neutral to me is the cashier at 7-Eleven. I neither like him nor dislike him. I don't think about him at all. A Buddha is totally in bliss about the cashier at 7-Eleven. So there's already like something has already been suppressed, okay? That was class 3. Now we're on to class 4. I'm not going to give you a break until later. We're going to talk about the 7 points on developing a good heart. What's the word for developing a good heart? Is Tiffany the only one in this class? Like, that's the easy question, right? I couldn't give you an easier question than that. Lojong, right? Developing the good heart. So here we go. 7 points on developing the good heart. So this one was written by Master Chekawa, who I love so much. And his years were 1101 to 1175. He was a great scholar. He was a Kadampa too. This Lo-Jong in Tibetan is called Dun 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 Duma. Okay, we talked about the fact that this stuff had to be kept secret. It's all over your homework. So that's why I keep harping on it. So we said that it had to be kept secret because people were going to, mess up their karma by saying, oh, this is hard, and dismiss it. Remember what I said about 9/11? So around 9/11 or the tsunami or earthquakes or hurricanes, everybody in the world gets super compassionate. And then 9/12 happens and things start to go back to normal, right? And then 9/13 comes and we start to hate the same people we hated yesterday. So the lesson here is to think about taking care of others on 9/13 and 9/14 and 9/15, and not just wait for the tragedy to come along. Because I think of those tragedies as reminders that maybe we're slipping a little bit in our compassion, and you don't want the tragedy to be visited all that close to you. It's just going to get closer if you keep having 9/12s and 9/13s. Okay, so does anybody know the story of Doubting Thomas? Oh, great, I can tell you a story. So Thomas was one of Jesus' disciples. And one day, Thomas and some other disciples were in a boat caught in a storm on the sea. And it was not going well for them. So this is where Jesus walks on water, right? He walks out on the water to get the fishermen. They walk towards him and he rescues them, except for Thomas. Thomas is like, I ain't never seen anybody walk on water before. I don't think I can do that. So Jesus is like, come on, man, you can trust me, it's cool. So he takes a step out of the boat and he immediately starts to fall in. And Jesus grabs his hand and he says, Thomas, why did you doubt me? And that's where he gets the name Doubting Thomas. And in the Bible, Thomas is all shamed, oh, I should never have doubted you, da da da. But I read that and I was like, dude, I'd have doubted you too. I have never seen someone walk on water. What do I have to go on? So I tell you that because I know that I'm telling you things that sound difficult to swallow, right? I am telling you that the world does not exist in the way that everybody else you know thinks it exists. I'm telling you that the world comes from your actions. I'm telling you that you can reach enlightenment. These are very hard things to swallow. But again, I invite you to look behind you and think about anything better. In any other teaching that you think is better, go for it. But you're not going to find one, right? The teachings that we get in this country are about consumer capitalism. You already know, if you've had an iPhone, that it's not going to make you happy. Because here comes the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6S. And oh, I have to have that one. It's such torture to have an iPhone, right? And that's kind of the alternative to this path that we're on here, is like you have this throwaway life that's definitely not going to make you happy, at least not for more than 5-10 minutes. And then you've got this one that requires a lot of hard work. But I will tell you that the hard work gets a little bit easier the longer you're in the game. You know, you get into a groove and it's kind of like working out. Your muscles aren't sore all the time. So if you have those moments where you're like Doubting Thomas, it's okay. But grab onto your Lama, or grab onto the person that's in your life that you want to be like, or grab onto the teachings. They've been around for more than 2 centuries for some reason, right? So I just wanted to offer you that. Okay. Geshe Chekawa. Huh? Did I what? 2, yes. Sorry. 2,000 years. 2,500 years. Yeah, sorry. 2.5 millennia. Okay. So we talked about how Geshe Chekawa, or I mentioned earlier, and he is the one, thought that people might be ready to actually hear Lojong. So instead of teaching it privately just to a couple of students, he started to teach it publicly. And he started off with what we call the 7 steps. These are basically the steps of a decent practice. And a few of them don't really sound like steps, but we'll get through it together. So the first one is instructions on the foundation. These are Dharma preliminaries. They're not preliminaries like clean your room, prepare the altar, do prostrations. They're not like the meditation preliminaries. These preliminaries are more like attitudes, the attitudes that you need to have before you get down to this practice. Because, you know, if you're grumpy and doubtful, trying to do Lojong is going to be difficult, right? Okay, so that's the first thing, instructions on the foundation. The second step is the main practice of developing the wish for enlightenment. This is, we talked briefly about this meditation. It's called exchanging self for others, or exchanging self and others. It is a beautiful meditation. Maybe we'll do it next week, but there's a module of it online at the website that I emailed you guys. It is a beautiful practice. It is a very difficult practice because you are taking other suffering into you and then you're destroying it. You know, you really have to have some serious self-esteem to think that you can do that. So that's the second point. The main practice for developing the wish for enlightenment is this practice of exchanging self and others. Number 3, transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. This is where you literally look at the obstacles in your life. Like I said before, someone is screaming at you. That's an opportunity to practice patience and love and seeing emptiness and karma. Okay? So that's what number 3 means, transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. I want you to get a partner. Preferably somebody you don't know. Don't all move at once. Sure, don't know well. Is there an odd number? Dima, you can come. I'll be your partner. Okay, so this is your work for the next 5 minutes. I just said that you're to transform the obstacles in your life, right, into this path, right? You're working on getting to enlightenment by using the obstacles in your life. So talk to your partner right now about one such obstacle and how you can use it as work for this path. Okay, go. Okay, wrap it up. Wrap it up, wrap it up. Wrap it up means thank you so much for your time. Wrap it up actually means stop talking. We're done. Okay. Sorry. Well, I didn't want to be rude. Yes, they actually did. They did. So stop talking. Okay. So thank you for doing that. It's hard. It's hard to just look it in the face, right? Where you have an opportunity to kick down an obstacle. It's hard. So you now have, I'm sorry, a 5-minute break to do whatever you want to do. Have all the snacks you want and go to the bathroom all you want in 5 minutes. So when I think of nirvana, it is me teaching a class of students and my Lama is sitting right there. I just can't think of anything better than that. Like, it's just fantastic, you know. My Lama is busy as heck, and wow, yeah. So it is possible to just get total joy in the middle of giving service, right? I remember taking this class actually, and it's funny when I look at my notes, I don't understand half of it. I don't, you know, I was just like dutifully taking notes and writing the Tibetan. But, you know, later on I started to get it more and more, right? I started practicing, and I'll tell you something that I learned. I have one gem from every single class, from every course, right? So course 2, which is meditation, course 3, there's a teaching about keeping your wants few and being satisfied with what you've got. And honestly, I had never heard that concept before. Like, why would I be satisfied with what I've got now when I should just be trying to get more and more and more? And keep my wants few? No, he who dies with the most toys wins, right? So that stuck with me. In every course, I've got like a little tidbit like that. So here's for Lojong. It's not even in the teachings. It's some stupid ass who raised his hand and said to Lama Lindsay, yeah, okay, what is this Lojong on the ground? Like in real life, what is it? And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna get serious homework or whatever. She goes, oh, it's every single time you go into Starbucks, you get the code for the bathroom, you go in the bathroom and you clean it up. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And do you know that every time I've gone into a public restroom since then, I've cleaned it up. And it just makes you want to cringe sometimes, but then it's like, oh, this bathroom's dirty for me. Yes.
And ever since you taught me that, I have too.
Yay! That makes me so happy.
It's usually Barnes & Noble, but it's awful. I mean, the whole bathroom is just destroyed. But then one time I did the same thing and I cleaned it up, and you told the story already. And a mother and her daughter went in right after me.
That's right.
So exactly the story that you told.
Yeah, like a man and his little girl went in right after me, and I was like, I'm so glad it's clean for them. But I will say that one time I took an 11-hour train ride from New York to Montreal, and I purposely held it as long as I could because I didn't want to go into the bathroom, and I couldn't hold it. And so now I go in, it's like 9 hours into the trip, the bathroom is destroyed, right? I'm just like weeping, like, oh. But yeah, so that's the teaching, clean up the bathroom. Okay, so step number 4, which doesn't sound like a step, a whole lifetime spiritual practice wrapped in a nutshell. And I'll dive more into these, but that is the 4th step. The 5th step is how you know when you've reached your goal of developing the good heart. It is so nice to know, like, oh, I'm getting closer. I'm thinking of others. You know, it's nice to have these milestones that you can just tap along the way. It feels good. So we have some of these with Lojong. Number 6 of these 7 steps is promises to yourself that you will never give up developing the good heart. So sometimes you don't have anything to sustain you except that you promised yourself. Okay? 7, advices. These are little tricks for developing the good heart. It's like what you hear in a good commencement speech, you know, like don't take ecstasy or whatever. These are, and I'm advising you of that as well. But anyway, that's what these types of advices are, okay? So I just want to talk to you really quickly about this idea of karmic partner, okay? This is someone or an organization to whom you're dedicating your work. Like right now in this class, you're already dedicating your work to your irritant, right? But I would also like for us to have a financial karmic partner so that the donations that you give, I will take 10% of them and we'll, at the end of the course, we'll give them to this organization or individual. So it would be great if you guys thought for the next week about an organization that you think is worthy of our tithe or an individual. And then we'll focus our efforts on giving them some dough at the end of the course. Sound good? Okay. All right. And then the day that you skip buying the latte, you go into Starbucks, you clean the bathroom, you don't buy the latte, then that's a little extra money we have for our karmic partner. That would be a good day. Okay. So those were the 7 steps. Now I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to break them down. So first are these preliminaries that we talked about. There are 3 steps to the training and the preliminaries. The first is meditate on the fact that you have a very short window of opportunity. We talked about that, right? This life is short. Oh my gosh. So short. So many things can do you in. So few things can save you. You have to do something with this opportunity now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you've lost 10 pounds, but right now. These classes won't last forever. Let me just get real. This is the last ACI course that's going to be taught here probably. Maybe there'll be a few review courses. But after that, the curriculum is changing. So things disappear all the time. Right in front of your nose, they're disappearing. Lama Marut used to come here 2-3 times a year, 2 weeks at a time. We would get 2 full weeks of teaching. And I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. Or, oh yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go to, you know, whatever, movies instead. And then all of a sudden, he's in Australia. And we're lucky if we can get him on unsynchronized Skype, right, where the mouth isn't quite moving with the sound. So, meditate on the fact that you have a very short window of opportunity. Number 2, meditate on your death. And know that this world is only your perception. So Dimitri actually is leading a meditation module on Thursdays, and this is part of it. There's a shamatha part and a death meditation part, right? So I would strongly encourage you to let go of whatever you think is more important on Thursday and come check out this meditation class. I'll be here. It is not easy to focus on your death. Who wants to do that? But it's important. And next week, I will actually give you teachings on how to die. It's fantastic. It is fantastic to be driving down La Cienega and know, I know how to die. If death is coming to get me right now, I know how to do it so that I am giving away all my good karma to as many people as I can. It's very nice, comforting. Okay. If you don't think death is coming, then I would suggest you stay away from anyone who might have Ebola because it's got a 60% mortality rate. You don't know who has Ebola. I would suggest you not cross the street. Car accident, #1 cause of death in the United States. So death is coming. We don't know how. Number 3, meditate on the problems of samsara. What's samsara? I love it. Debbie looks up. She's like, I know it was on the board. That's right. It's this cycle of suffering that we're in. vicious cycle of suffering. Geshe Michael says that it's like we're crazy people in an insane asylum. And we're the only ones who at least know that we're in an insane asylum. Because, you know, most people who are in an asylum don't know. They don't know that they're insane, and they don't know where they are. We know that this world is completely crazy and crazy making. And we're at least looking for a way out of this cycle of suffering. So, those are the 3 preliminaries. These are things that you need to meditate to get your mind nimble to do Lojong. Okay, the actual practice. So now here are some real preliminaries. Take refuge. What does it mean to take refuge? It means that when I lose my mind and it's coming down and I can't take another step, I can take refuge in my Lama. I can take refuge in you, my Sangha, and I can take refuge in the Dharma. And the emptiness of those things, meaning that my understanding of them now will actually improve and morph and get better until I reach enlightenment, right? They're not fixed. Otherwise, I read it once and that's all I'm going to get out of it. I see you once and that's all I'm going to get out of you. So take refuge. If you'd like to learn how, please come talk to me. It is a great gift. And it's something that you should do every day because it's a hard path, you know? Okay, make supplication. Making supplication is where you visualize your Lama or that person you've decided to emulate and you ask for help. I visualized my Lama, who is perfect and whole and unbelievable, and I ask for teachings. In fact, I'm not teaching this class. My Lama is teaching this class, right? I channel her mind and her heart, and I give it to you. Because ignorant, suffering schmuck me doesn't have a lot to tell you, but my perfect holy Lama does. So that's take refuge, make supplication to your Lama. And then start the breath meditation. For this, they say 21 breaths. I would love for you to, in the meditation that you're doing this coming week, you're supposed to start with 10 breaths, right? Try 21. You're not going to make it. I'm just telling you right now. But try 21 and see how agitated your mind gets. Like a squirming child, right? Your mind will be like chill for 5 breaths. Start to wig out around 7, 8 breaths. 21 breaths, you'll have recited the whole Kama Sutra in that time before you even realize that your mind is off your breath. So just try. Just try and see what your mind does with it. Okay, then the actual practice. It boils down to logic, okay? This is what the Lojong says. Learn to see all things as a dream. Okay? This does not mean that the bus coming down the street will not run you over and kill you. Like in your dream, the bus can run you over, you pop back up. In real life, the bus will run you over and you'll die. But what does it mean when we say life is like a dream? What do you think? Yeah, everything is coming from a projection, meaning things aren't as they seem, right? Things are an illusion because they're not as they seem. Things seem fixed, permanent, coming from their own side. That's an illusion, right? Things are actually coming from me, my past, my actions, okay? So when the teaching says learn to see all things as a dream, that's what it means. Practice thinking about emptiness. Practice the crystal. Practice thinking about things as not being self-existent. We talked about that. Aren't you lucky? Next line is examine the nature of the mind unborn. This means that just like your body and the outer world, your mind is also empty. Let's focus on this for a second. Your mind is the last frontier of grasping, right? Like you might say, oh yeah, this lamp is empty. Oh, pin, shoe, toy. Oh, my mother's empty. But when you start thinking about your own mind, that's fixed and permanent, right? That's mine, and it's the way it is. Of course that's not the case, right? What's the proof that that's not the case?
Because you get thoughts that are that just appear.
Oh, that's true.
You don't.
Like if you could control it, then you wouldn't be thinking about a pink elephant right now, and now you're all thinking about a pink elephant. What's the other proof? It's changing. Anything else that proves that your mind is empty? Anything else? That's true. You can reach enlightenment, right? If your mind was fixed, unchanging, and it is the way that it is now, enlightenment not possible. Sorry. The fact that your mind is empty, meaning your mind is a projection forced on you by your past deeds. Try to think about that. That means that your ability to not yell back at the boss, right? That is coming from your past action of just trying to be patient, just trying to hold it 1 second, and then the next time, oh, hold it 2 seconds, right? If your mind was not empty, it would just do the same thing over and over again, right? Or actually, it would do nothing. It would just be fixed and unchanging. So it's very difficult to grasp, but it's important to. Your mind is empty. Not empty like that, like void, but, has the ability to be acted upon by karma. It's a blank screen. It has paint on it from your past actions, and you can either clean off the paint, like with the 4 forces, and we'll talk about that later, or by putting new paint on with new actions. Okay? Really, really, really try to hold to that idea that your mind is empty, just like your body. Okay? And just like this world. Last crazy line. The antidote itself is gone to is. This is all in your upcoming reading, by the way. I'm just pulling out the parts that are difficult to digest. The rest you can understand on your own. So this means, so the antidote is the mind of wisdom, which understands the emptiness of the outside world and the emptiness of your own body and mind. Okay? You and your world are nothing more than projections. That's what this line, is gone to is, means. And oddly enough, normally in the readings, there's the actual quote and then like a little commentary to decipher, kind of tease out the meaning. You got me for that, because there's no commentary. There's no commentary in our notebook anyway. Okay. The last line is let it go. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what let it go means. Does anyone know that song? Let It Go from Frozen? Anyone want to sing it? Do your kids sing it like night and day? Yeah, okay. You just want to scream? Okay. So let it go means 2 things. Overcome the problems of meditation, which are dullness and agitation, right? Distraction, monkey mind. Most people have the monkey mind going on, right? Like you were saying, you're always fidgeting and agitated, and it's difficult to keep the mind focused. I actually suffer from dullness, which is where you feel like you're meditating, but really you're kind of just half asleep or zoned out, Neither of them is where you want to be. So pay attention, let it go, meaning either let your distraction chill out, and there are a variety of ways to do that Dimitri can teach you, or pump up a little energy and get off the dullness. The other meaning of let it go is let go of this perception that things are self-existent. It's the same thing over and over again. I'm going to keep hammering it. Okay, I got 5 minutes to tell you this one thing. So does everyone know what the direct perception of emptiness is? Does anyone know? How about if we start with that? Raise your hand if you know what the direct perception of emptiness is. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So that is, you've been meditating and serving and meditating and serving. And it's a 20-minute episode where you actually can perceive emptiness. So emptiness is a negative thing, meaning it's not something. So you're perceiving it. You're not it, right? You're perceiving it. Okay. So that lasts about 20 minutes. And then the subsequent state, the subsequent 24 hours, like the whole next day, is called Jetob Yeshe. Jetob, second word, Yeshe. And it means subsequent wisdom. Jetob Yeshe. So this is, after you've seen the 4 Arya truths and, you get an idea about emptiness, unfortunately, right afterwards, you start to see things as self-existent again. But the difference is, you're wrong. It's like watching a horror movie. I would love watching horror movies. And I scream and cry and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But I know that it's a movie, right? I don't think that Freddy Krueger is in the house with me. So that's what, I'm sorry to compare the direct perception of emptiness with Freddy Krueger, but it's a good analogy. After you've seen it, you still see things as self-existent, but you know that they're not. Right now, we're still doubting. Like, we still think self-existent jerk boss, right? Not coming from me. After DPE, you're cool with that. And it's said that you only have 7 lifetimes left. And my goal, of course, is to shorten that down to 1 lifetime for you. But even if you only had 7, that's not so bad. Okay. So, I have no idea why I needed to tell you that, but I did. Okay, I'm going to give you one last really quick tidbit, and it'll get you through the homework. So there's something called, so I'm going to give you 3 lists of 3s. It'll help you remember if I tell you that way. The 3 objects are pretty things that you like, things that you don't like that are not nice, and things you don't care about. The 7-Eleven cashier, right? Those are the 3 objects. Those are the things that we think about all day long. Things that I like, things that I don't like, things I don't give a crap about. That's it. That's the totality of my thinking all day. Okay, we talked about the 3 poisons, right? What are they?
Ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, and ignorance.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. So now, this last list is not even a list. The 3 virtues are the actions that you take to help people remove the 3 poisons from their life, right? So if you're, so people are focused on the 3 objects, right? Things they like, things they don't like, things they don't care about. And the 3 poisons, ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, and ignorance, are working on them. So they're looking at this person that they don't like and they don't like that person. They're looking at the pretty thing and then they want that person. They're looking at the 7-Eleven cashier and they're thinking he's just a 7-Eleven cashier, not recognizing that he's actually coming from me, okay? So our virtue is to help people move away from those ignorant thoughts and actions. You start with you, okay? Start with you. You get up in the morning, recognize where your ignorance is, and then you help other people throughout the day. Usually by walking through life in a manner that's not ignorant. So like what Sarah said, not engaging in gossip, right? Not engaging, like Debbie said, not engaging in yelling back. Not engaging in yelling back, all right? That's a way of practicing the 3 virtues, helping people who cannot help themselves. All right, bueno. Okay, we're done. I just want to talk to you about a couple of things. One is common ground. It's coming up Sunday, the 17th, so that's this Sunday, at 6 o'clock. It's a sliding scale entrance fee of between $10 and $20, depending on how rich you are. That's presented by Mira Kingsley and Brian Reed. This is a woman named Ann Bogart who's phenomenal. She's a theater director, she's an author, she's the artistic director of the City Company. And here's a picture that gives you an idea of the awesome work that she directs. So she will be here Sunday at 6. Would love it if you guys came. Dimitri gives a class, meditation class Thursdays at 7. It's at 7:30. And then you do the other one too? Okay, so he does 2 meditation classes. And Salsa's coming up the following Sunday, correct? Okay, am I missing anything?
Sunday or Saturday? Sunday.
Changed it, yes. Yeah, so there's a class and then there's open dance. And then money. So now I told you about the wonderful email that we all got from the CEO promising us massive raises, something I've never heard of in life. I completely attribute that to my being generous in the past. So if you want to see that kind of email show up in your email box, or to just feel comfortable, right? Like that's a feast to just feel comfortable financially. Give some money. Give some money to someone in need or to an organization in need. Mahasukha is that type of organization. We give these teachings for free. I have never taken a penny for teaching the Dharma. But the fan does not go on my hot air alone. So please put some money in the bowl outside. For the snacks, please put a few dollars in the snack bowl so we can keep getting wonderful snacks. And Lori's kombucha, thank you for this, awesome. So as far as homework, we've almost completed class 4, but just do the homework for class 3 and do the reading up to page 20. I'm not sure if your pagination is the same, so you want to do the reading up to class 4, part 2, which is called The Actual Practice for Developing the Wish for Enlightenment. So read to page 20, which is class 4, part 2, up to part 2. Questions? Okay, now, I want you to write out, this is a supplemental homework question, something that you have done. This is going to be for next week's homework. Something that you've done to disappear your annoying person. Okay? Okay. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Let's do some closing prayers. I'm sorry I kept you 5 minutes late. Shame, shame. Angela?